What's going on, everybody? The Diehard MMA Podcast was filmed live and exclusively on odds.com. So if you missed the live show, click the link below. It'll take you over to odds.com where you can watch the exclusive replay where we go over UFC 255 and all the betting action, our favorite spots with special guest Matt Holt from US Integrities. Thank you very much. Share this link out, and we'll see you guys over on odds.com. Next fight up, we've got a welterweight fight. Jouban, 16-7, taking on Jared Night Train Gooden, 17-4. I've got to give a little bit of a shout out here. One of the podcasts I first started listening to before I started actually doing a podcast myself was Half the Battle over there. And I love those boys. They really inspired me to get the ball rolling and stuff like that here. I'm a huge fan. They actually sponsored Jared Night Train Gooden. So it's really cool to see, these guys I know from podcasting pick somebody up on the regional scene and back them and then have them make it all the way to the big show. I'm really excited to watch this guy's debut as a fan because of that. I'll let you lead this one off, Matt. Can you tell me a little bit about these guys and kind of which way you're looking on it?
I mean, if this fight would have happened 2 years ago, we would have said, why is the UFC throwing this young man to the wolves? I mean, Jouban for your UFC debut? But that's kind of where I think that talks more about where Jouban is in his career than it does Jared Gooden is his career. Jouban, 11 years older, at 37 years old, 1-3 in his last 4 fights, but 4-4 in his last 8. And when we look at the losses, Albert Tuminov, Gunnar Nelson, Nico Price, the only one that I think of his 4 losses in his last 8 fights that concerns me is Dwight Grant. And he's coming off a loss to Dwight Grant. And I thought the UFC did Jouban a big favor in his last fight and said, look, I know that you've been in there with some tough guys, Mike Perry, Belal Muhammad, again, Tumenov, Nelson, Nico. We're going to get you, and you have a fan-friendly style. He's been doing some commentary. The UFC people like him. Let's step you back down in class, and he couldn't get it done against Dwight Grant. Now, people age differently, and what we do know is that the lighter fighters tend to age a little bit quicker than the heavier fighters because speed is so important. Heavyweights can hang on, and light heavyweights like Glover Teixeira and Daniel Cormier, and these guys can fight till they're 41, 42 because the power is still there and the speed isn't as much of a necessity. But at these lighter weight classes, speed is a necessity. Now, again, this is a huge step down in class for Jouban, who's actually taking on a guy making his UFC debut. So we wonder, again, will Gooden, under the bright lights of the UFC on a pay-per-view card, feel the pressure here and come out and, maybe have a big energy dump and fade late. But I kind of like Gooden here at the plus prices. I just think Jouban's best days are well behind him. And I love the fact that Jared Gooden has 7 fights since February 2019. One of the things that I think is most important in the development of young fighters that sometimes people get overlooked. And when we see guys that are rushed up and they end up getting losses and they struggle, it's due to inactivity. One of the problems with moving up the rankings is that you just don't get to fight as often as you would like. One of the real advantages of being young and new and fresh into the UFC is oftentimes you're able to get more fights. 7 fights in the last 16 months for Jared Gooden. I think that ends up being the advantage here. I think he showed some real progression, including a win over Stephen Newell, who was 9-0 at the time that Gooden beat him last February. I think he's going to sneak up and get Jouban here, just a little bit too young, and I'm going to take the plus money.
Okay, you and I see very, very closely on this one, Matt. I like the way you're looking, and you said basically everything that I wanted to say. Jouban's best days are behind him, unfortunately. That 1-3 in his last 4, Not a good look. The only win coming over Ben Saunders, who we know is the most shot of shot fighters. He got that coveted step down in the UFC competition. He made good on it. And like you said, he took that one little inch up on Grant and just couldn't get it done. The other thing I've noticed with Jouban is that he really struggles when he's at a reach disadvantage. His defense seems to be lacking a little bit, and we saw it against Nico Price. Now, I know Nico Price has that freakish knockout power, but the counter shots, when he gets hit with power counter shots, he just can't seem to handle it anymore. And Jared Night Train Gooden is a monster. This guy hits so hard. He's huge. He's physically strong. He may not be the fastest fighter out there. I do think that Alan Jouban is more technical than he is, but he explodes. And I think that explosive counter opportunity is going to be there. I think he's going to clip Jouban. And honestly, I think he's going to put him down. The other thing is, people don't know how good Jared Gooden is on the ground. The dude's a legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, and he fires off impressively fast double legs. Like I said, with that explosive ability, he can lift Jouban over his head, smash him to the floor, and have no problem closing the distance between the two of them and making it a grappling fight if he wants to. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, like you talked about, with the reach advantage being such a big factor, the age difference here being a big factor. I think Jouban's on his way out, and I'm not a huge fan of betting on UFC debutantes, but this seems like the spot to do it. The only thing for me is, I want to go ahead and tell everybody, we just hit 300 live viewers. Don't rush out and bet Jared Gooden right now. The market is moving towards Jouban. I'm seeing money coming in on Jouban at -140, -135. That line is creeping up, creeping higher. Let's see if we can get Gooden at +140. Let's see if we can get +135. Don't everyone jump on Gooden at +110 and cause it to crash back the other way.
Yeah.
I like it. That's my plan. I think I'm probably going to be on Jared Gooden. I'm just biding my time. I'm hoping to get the best number out of it since things seem to be going the other direction. But it's a good feeling when you reinforce the way I'm looking at a fight.
And Alan Jouban's a household name. I mean, he even does commentary now, so even people that might be new to watching UFC that didn't get to watch him in his prime, like versus Mike Perry when Perry was undefeated, people forget Jouban was the first guy to beat Platinum Mike Perry. But at this point at 37, I mean, speed is so critical at 155. You talk about a loaded division in UFC, it's 155, and Jouban doesn't have the speed or the chin to compete at 155 anymore.
Agreed. All right. Well, that takes us through to, that's the early prelims. They've split this one up. It's a big card. We've got 3 early prelims. We've got 4 regular prelims, and then, of course, the main card. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my guest, my friend Matt Holt, joining us, the president of US Integrity, cutting some time out for us to talk fights today. We appreciate you being here. Everybody, make sure you jump over on Twitter, give Matt a follow. And this is odds.com, folks. Make sure you hit that like button for me, share the show out, get the word out. Let's have some fun. Let's make some money here on these fights.